Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. We want to thank everyone for viewing tonight. We have a special message tonight. It might sound a little comical, but Negrocious The Great. Tonight's story or version of reality is about someone we're going to call Negrocious The Great. If Negrocious The Great happens to resemble anyone that you happen to know, that's fine. Remember, it's a story. The story is a strange story. But what I want, I'm going to say it at the beginning and I'm going to say it at the end. Everything you see almost on television right now relating to the Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States, I would say 99%, or 99.9%, don't want to exaggerate, let's just say 95%, even 90% of that has been engineered by Negrocious The Great. When the people of America find out that they're great scholars and heads of faculties and university think tanks and what have you, has not came within 1,000 miles in their analysis and in their predictions relating to the Islamic Republic of Iran. The most accurate person has been Negrocious The Great. Now, I'm saying Negrocious The Great has engineered. Now, you got to remember the last 2 nights what we've been talking about. Okay, just night before last, what was said here was very clear, that Shias, you keep scratching under their skin, and you're going to find martyrdom. We told you here that the fountains during the war in Iran was running red with blood. They had Kool-Aid or something in there. It was because of that concept and feeling of martyrdom. You also can remember that we talked about our attitude about this, that in life we just want to go on about our business. But if we're hassled by the system, we instantly go into a whole different psychosis. Number one, take me to jail. I don't want to be bothered with it. If you don't have no right to be talking to me. You take me to jail. Leave me alone. Are you? It ain't none of your business what I am. That's the way I deal with it, man. I may alter it a little bit. But I want you to know what has happened in America. Number one, psychological guerrilla warfare has worked. Psychological guerrilla warfare worked because of one of the best tactics used was old type coonism. Because most of the people associated with it were semi-educated. And those people believe in certain concepts. Number one, pointed noses, thin lips, and curly hair makes smart people. Brown futures, black complexion, this is the way they think it. Makes you a little slow. I'm going to talk about how the United States was manipulated as a country, but I'm going to remind you how the movement, how we got here as a movement. Number one was psychological manipulation, called psychological guerrilla warfare. Psychological guerrilla warfare has been studied in depth. I'm not going to repeat all the books, all the articles and everything that we've studied. You should know by now that we have made a detailed study of psychological guerrilla warfare. First, psychological warfare, then guerrilla warfare, then psychological guerrilla warfare. Psychological guerrilla warfare or psychological warfare is when you try to destroy the enemy's ability to function correctly without having, you do it through media, you do it through all types of strategies. A long time ago, Genghis Khan used to stick poles in the behind Muslims they captured to the way they would come out all the way up here and put them up, and that would scare the Muslims, scare anybody to death. Good God Almighty. Sometimes they would take catapults and throw bodies with all kinds of diseases over the walls. This was a type of psychological warfare, but it was open psychological warfare. Psychological guerrilla warfare is when the enemy is not necessarily aware of exactly what you're doing. And that's what we've been practicing. Our strategy with the system has been high levels of ethics and morality. So they know whatever we're doing, we're not going to wear these people down. With girls, with money, with all of that, although they continue to try. High ethics, morality. Then, a lot of you probably never watched Kingfish, Amos and Andy. Just imagine the old lightning-looking shows, the old Negroes, 30s, 40s, and 50s. People made fun of them. They made fun of themselves. Even back to 1900s in that era, the modern facilities like the FBI, the institutions, they had no one in the FBI that was familiar with the tactics and the strategies of a person who was thinking from that era. Now, our combination, we've told you before, was a natural combination of youthful black nationalism, growing up in California, being born in Arkansas, moving to California. And Islam. There's another element that our parents had. My father was born in 1900. That they had to use on the white man just to survive and to thrive. And my family did pretty good down there in Arkansas. But there's nobody in the FBI then, or in the 60s, or especially not now, that even remotely familiar with those type of tactics. That's real strategic depth. Now, so that means when you're using it, the other Negroes don't understand it, the white man don't understand it, you're the only one that understands it. And when you're doing it, you're having a good time. You're having a good time. Basically what it was, what it is how to manipulate people during these times and how to engineer them in a position where they make incorrect decisions at the worst time, and their implementation of those ideas are faulty. So one, you want to make them, confuse them. You want to confuse the people so that they make emotional decisions. Decisions are not rational. They either make them out of fear or emotionalism. I'm going to skip a minute to Donald Trump, because the people think Donald Trump is a great counterpuncher. If you attack him, he can write you out. We wear out them ignorant white people. But he can't touch, he is a damn fool. That man don't know this way from up. Messing with a Negro that's been born and taking these type of challenges. Okay. Okay, so what happened here? Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. All right. So, what we did was, and bringing in the term of Negrocious the Great, that would be a great black person with almost slapstick comedy as a tool to manipulate the biggest and the most well-organized organizations and countries in the world. Now we're going to get to it. Today you heard about a drone being shot down by Iran. 2 days ago we told you that the people were getting tired of being pushed around by the white man. And we said if you keep scratching them, they're going to develop the attitude that hold it. That's it. Now we're ready to fight. We're ready to fight. Don't make no difference. So if anybody thinks that they're just going to stroll over and batter Iran, like you hear the news talking, the news say, if they want to fight, they got one coming. Well, just let me mention a few things. Iraq War 1980-1988 was a defining moment for the Iranian military, and it continues to underpin many aspects of the Iranian military. One of the main things they learned in that time, that you've got to have your own stuff, you got to have your own missiles, you have to have your everything, you have to own it yourself. And since then, when that war was over in 1988, Iran has been on a breakneck, you may not know it, Iran is number 4 or 5 in drones in the world. You may not know that a few years ago, the Islamic Republic of Iran captured one of the biggest drones that the United States produced, and they had it land in Iran. And in a few months, they showed their drones, and they showed a whole line of re-engineered American drones. That's what they did. So they know about being independent. You can't depend on other people for your national defense. Iranian military planners are adept at incorporating lessons from other conflicts, such as U.S.-led invasion of Iraq and 2006 war between Israel and Hezbollah, to refine their own doctrines and strategies. What does that mean? To modern day, Iran has studied how Americans fight in Afghanistan. They've studied how Israelis fight. When they fought against Hezbollah in 2006, they study everywhere how they fought in Iraq. They know how the United States fights. They study. And they do their training, a lot of it. They have whole units that they have a United States training thing, that they train based on how the U.S. fight. Because of how our Army fights, just like a boxer, he fights a certain style, right? If he's real good, he's hard to beat. But the more you know about that style of fighting, the better chance you have of survival and to counter their attacks on you. To challenge a technically superior adversary, such as the United States, Iranian doctrine emphasizes aspects of asymmetric warfare that play to Iran's strengths, including geography. Remember I tell you how big Iran is? Geography, strategic depth, deep game, and public willingness to accept casualties. Shias, Iran is 90% Shias. So parts of Saudi Arabia, as they used to call it, won't be calling it that way long. Lebanon, Afghanistan, Shias believe in martyrdom. All the Muslims believe in martyrdom. It's the highest level of commitment. But Shias take it a step further. So, like when you fight a colonial army, one of the things that you have to be willing to do is take high casualties. Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the branch of the Iranian military tasked with protecting the Islamic Revolution, is undergoing major restructuring to enhance its survivability and give regional commanders more flexibility to respond to potential threats. Now, there's something I want you to know is, this paper, I printed it 8 or 9 years ago, 6/22/2011. This is not a new document. Iran's armed forces have tailored their war-fighting strategies to counter technologically superior adversaries. They've tailored their fight. They're not like Saddam Hussein. They go out with 100-year-old tanks, right, in the middle of the desert where you can't even hide them, to fight Americans. Iran is not. Iran's armed forces have tailored their war-fighting strategies to counter technically superior adversaries, such as the United States. Tactically, acknowledging it has little chance of winning a conventional force-on-force conflict, Iran has opted for a deterrence-based model of attrition warfare that raises an opponent's risk and cost rather than reducing its own. The goal is to inflict a psychological defeat that inhibits an enemy's willingness to fight. Okay, remember now, this is 9, 10 years ago. That means they've upgraded. They're probably in the second or third cycle from then. But their planning goes along this lines. First of all, asymmetric warfare. Here come the big old United States, come on in. Now, we done said this for years. Come on in, no problem. Come on in, and there's the cities, you go take them. And then after that, choke them off. And whittle them down one by one. Because just like in Stalingrad, a big army become immobilized in a city. I don't think America would be that dumb to try to take American cities, Iranian cities. But if they don't commit 1 million men, what are they going to do to stop Iran? Let's go over Iranian options just for a minute or two. Number one, if they attack Iran, right away Hezbollah goes right against Israel. And now Syria is a little in strength, so Syria is going to go with it too, because they want their Golan Heights back, and they want all that. Iranian military forces is going to automatically liberate eastern provinces of Saudi Arabia. Automatically. The other thing that they're going to do is they're going to increase the quality and the weapons that they send to their allies in Yemen. Bahrain, where the Fifth Fleet is, will automatically be liberated by Iran. Remember, they're in the Persian Gulf. America don't have enough. Iran is not going to let America roll over there and bring 500,000 troops like they did with Saddam Hussein in '91. They're not even thinking about that. Iran is going to cut loose on their behind, and they can taste it. They are ready right now. They said, you don't have no right to put no sanctions on us. You don't have no right to boycott us. You walked out of the treaty. You don't have no more nothing with us. And we're not particularly, everybody else may be scared of you, but you can see what happened today. They ain't even thinking about it. They are actually now saying, first of all, yeah, you came over our airspace, which they said we'll be picking up residue, from the drone. That what you think a drone is a little old T-90. This drone was a wingspan was like a 747 or something. 143 feet, I think. That's a big. That thing is worth $2-something zillion at one point. I hope they didn't say 180 million, but they might have had 180 million. You know, they still have Iraq. What is Iraq going to do now? Who's Iraq's best friend? Iran. Their whole future and history is tied together now. So U.S. troops in Iraq will be attacked. What about Afghanistan? They're getting a stew. You know, they've been in Afghanistan 17 or 18 years. Do you know Mazar-Sharif and all those areas are Shia areas, the Northern Alliance? What is Afghanistan going to do? So the United States will not be fighting in the Persian Gulf. They will be fighting the whole Asian experience. That's who they'll be fighting. And they're the ones better go in a corner and sit around and shut up, because the people are already ready for martyrdom. You done pushed them too far. They ain't going for it. And you can see, they say, what's right? We don't want to fight nobody, but we ain't taking no more. That's it. And they mean it. And Don ain't in no hurry, because somebody, let's bring in Don Netanyahu. How did America get in this position? Psychological guerrilla warfare. The first stages began in earnest over 10 years ago. And at that time, what we had to do, we looked at our options here in America. And one of the only options open to us and our strengths was psychological guerrilla warfare. We developed psychological guerrilla warfare for two realities. Number one, our reality, and number two, their reality. If you remember, we had programs 2007 about advocates for the Islamic Republic of Iran. I don't know if you ever saw it. But in other words, we looked at the situation in America. We looked at the situation around the world. We saw in South Africa that we had just came out with our writings on strategy and strategic management. And some of the people of influence, I'm not going to say from Iran, like the ambassadors and everything, was telling the movement that that's what they should be doing, that type of thing. So I turned around right there when he was talking. Muhammad Al-Asi, his wife, Zafar Bangash. So why y'all ain't telling him that that's what we're already doing? And the next day, I told him, you got to take me to a bit. So I went to a meeting at the ambassador's house to show him strategic management under conditions of repression. What the hell do? You don't sit around and cry about you're oppressed. You figure out you have to have a counteroffensive. You have to have a long-range strategy. Our strategy has always been, it's the same with what we did to the Negroes. By the way, now you will realize when I tell you that we engineered this whole thing with the Islamic Republic of Iran. I want to go over it again because your mind is not going to pick it up. The Negrocious the Great, engineered what's going on in Iran now. He studied the ambassadors. He studied, I'll give you two examples. Like say the foreign minister right now. He's a good friend of mine. But I was with him and the Americans had unscrewed his back tire because it won't make much noise or anything, and it came off. He said, I was on the freeway. If I would have had my family with me, they would have got hurt. So he was putting his family first. The head of the office downtown, 8 or 9 years ago, said the same thing about his family. The Americans took my back wheel off too. And when it came off, I was pulling up to a stop and I saw a wheel catch up to me and pass me. I just got out, picked it up, and put it back on. I took one lug off each one of the other 3 tires and put them on so each one of them had 3 lugs because this was a small car, it had 4 lugs. So I went on about my business like this is normal. Okay? But my feeling was this then and now. If you do not think about the Islamic Republic first, you're not qualified to hold any office because you put your family and you put yourself before the rebellion, before the revolution. I found that to be a common trend basically, everybody's going to think about their family first unless they're revolutionary. You can't do that. You got to either get out or go somewhere else because the revolution is first. If you say, my kids, well, then all you got to do is sign your kids over to the government because they're going to study what you fear, what you dislike. That right? And that's who they're going to attack. You're putting your children in jeopardy. Right? Or you have to cooperate with the system. I studied that all over. Everywhere I went, I studied it in Sri Lanka. I studied our allies. I studied the Shia community as a whole. I studied all of our brothers. I studied their attitudes. I went to all the conferences up to a few years ago. I spoke at most of them, if not all of them. So along with psychological guerrilla warfare worked for us in America, psychological guerrilla warfare worked for us with Iran. Here's what we did. If we left it up to those guys, they were going to engineer Iran into a subservient position, like the foreign ministry, those guys. They're nice people, but they don't they don't understand that Iran's mission is not to have just a great economy. That's part of the model. But they are, Iran, I believe, came on the scene to be a model of revolutionary change and evolutionary change in the world in which we live in. And if, just like people will steal your mission away from you, if we would have sat still, the middle-level management, now high-level management, would have listened to their NAS and developed programs based on economy and what have you. That's where the JOCPO came from Obama. Obama first tried to, he challenged Iran. But then he saw what was happening. He said, okay, we can't challenge it. We can't get them this way. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to sweet talk. We're going to get a JOPC, something else. What they called it. Now, here's the easier part. Who would be against that type of treaty with Iran? Bibi Netanyahu, the Israelis, because Iran is working at breakneck speed. They've already fought the student in Lebanon, and they cleaned the Israelis' clock. So Iran. Israelis don't want to fight Iran, so they have to put the Americans up to it. You see what I mean? Now, here comes Saudi Arabia. They have the same problem. They are a big bunch of weakly fat guys that they can't do any fighting. They've been fighting their neighbor for 5 years, 4 years, and they can't get down the street. With the poorest country in the Arab world. And they got all the modern, the U.S. is giving them or selling them all kind of modern stuff, and they can't do nothing. Now, is this true or not? Number one, did Bibi Netanyahu come over here during the 2010s and speak before the Congress, and he got more standing ovations than Barack Obama did. Did Bibi Netanyahu come back the next year and almost, this is what I heard, I wasn't down there, but the guy that's the mayor of Chicago, I think his name is the Zionist, he was in Barack Obama's first cabinet. At the White House, they had a meeting with the Jews, and they told Barack Obama, you can come back when we finish. They told him, you come back when we finish. And he did. When he didn't cooperate, the security forces of the United States of America couldn't happen without them. Like as much as people hate Donald Trump, ain't nobody jumped over the fence and went up in there with Donald Trump, right? He happened twice. Do you remember that?
I remember, yeah.
One time they said, I know it ain't true, that the guy got on the elevator with a gun. What is that to do? That's to let Barack Obama know your family is here, everybody's here. Barack didn't totally cave, but that happened. That actually happened. So Barack Obama was told by the security forces of America, you have to collaborate with us. Do y'all remember at the UN about 5 years ago or less, Netanyahu had, remember them old fuse bombs where they got a bomb and you light the fuse on the top of black, and this is what Netanyahu took a picture of to the UN. Always talking about Iran. Always talking about Iran. What I'm talking about now is taking this a step higher. Open with it, and I'm going to close with it. This program is called Negrocious The Great.
Negrocious degree?
The Great.
The Great.
Negrocious The Great not only engineered this, everything you see right now was engineered by Negrocious The Great. Let's just go and visit. What is it that they have like the Israelis? Arrogance. Suppose every other time you get up, yeah, oh, Hezbollah came over there and whooped your behind. Boy, they slapped the stuff out of you. Why do you know that? You know this because in 2007, the Zionists, when they had the program up in New York with, what's his name, the white man? Hannity, yeah. What was this whole thing? Do you like Jews? Why you don't like Jews? I said, I just met with the rabbi the other day. You know. And remember when the rabbi came here, this last year or something, they all said, this is our friend. That's what they said. And it's on tape. Everybody can see. This is our friend. Well, it's not about Jews. It's about Zionists. What do you have in relation to the United States of America and the whole other governments that they control? You would say one of two things, but what do you have that they don't know nothing about? Coonism, clowning. They won't even know what you're doing. They'll be mad and frustrated, and they'll act off of being clowned and irritated by Negrocious. So what does Negrocious do to all of them? To the great United States of America? Clown them, make fun of them, So pretty soon, they began to develop, well, it's easy to know because if you study 15 years ago, 20, everything that they had Zionists coming amongst us, taking pictures and then posting the pictures up on, that we said this and we said that. We let them do it. With the Americans, remember we said we did this the other night. We took all of our notebooks to Iran. When we came back, they were there for them to read. To make sure they read them, once they asked me a question about a meeting, and I brought them to Iran Times so they could read it. But I said, just a minute. Do you know I went over to my notebooks and I thumbed through it? And it says, I said, no, this is on such and such a date. And I told them everything we did. Why would we do that? The strategy in war is to keep secrets. Right? Not to publicize. But in coonery, in clownism, we done took psychological guerrilla warfare to another level. We're going to tell them everything. And what we tell them is going to scare them to death. Those articles in the newspapers don't seem like nothing to the average guy. What does that mean? Especially, not just articles like this or TV programs, but every time you're talking to them, first I would like to congratulate the people of the Islamic Republic of Iran on 34 years of struggle. That means this was 6 years ago. 34 years of sincerity, 34 years of following good leadership, 34 years of, and then I go, as I remember, once we celebrated the 3rd anniversary of the revolution, how happy we was. And here we are celebrating the 34th anniversary. Stable. Iran is here to stay. That's what it looks like. But we have seen the Negro give away his birthright here. Zarif and those other people will give away Iran's birthright. In this world, there's a new world. We see this as the coming of a new world. And we've been discussing when is this going to be a lab? When is it coming? This is it right now. This is it. This is it to bring all the stuff in. Hold it. No. Let's call it in. This is the time to shake up the whole world and put it in focus. The first thing we want the American people to know is that everything that these dummies are doing in Washington, D.C. was engineered by us. And we're going to show you how. It was engineered by us because of many reasons. Number one, we have to make sure that the mission of the Islamic Revolution is not subverted and not sabotaged. It is to be the leader of the incoming new global reality, or to play a major part in it. When that treaty came in, it looked a little funny for a while. But thank God, guess what they did? The Israelis, the neocons, white folks, the common Democrats, they said, we're surrounded and finished if we don't move now. China has got us surrounded. We got to move on them now. We got to. You want to know why Donald Trump moved on everybody at one time? He was hired to do that. That's his job. He was hired to do that. Iran, cancel the treaty. cancel everything. But he turned, and the other people didn't answer. The Russians, the Taliban, right? None of the people followed, they the JOPCO, whoever, they haven't followed their part. Not only the United States had a part, but I told you, keep scratching shears, in a minute you're going to hit blood, and then it's all over, the martyrdom is in. That attack today showed where Iran is. Now, again, either I'm luckier, because everything I'm saying now, I said this the last 2 meetings. There ain't nothing new, except we had to come out the last 2 meetings.
No. The attack. You mean what?
The attack on the drone.
Oh, okay. You mean bringing it down?
Bringing it down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. None of the other attacks that they claimed, even some of the people said that the Arabs said that they didn't attack our shipping. You know, that's the other. These 2, nobody believes it. Iran's in a perfect position. But there's a time when that Imam Husseinism kick in, and that's predominant. That is moving toward predominance because the United States have hassled them too much. They feel that they have the right, which they do, to do what they want, and you don't have a right to mess with our. Just imagine what the U.S. does. He messes up, he breaks a treaty and messes up the people's economy, and it's all right. They're saying it ain't all right. And all that bop about this old bald-headed senator talking about if they're looking for a fight, they're going to get one. Well, let me tell you something. I'm going to go over, look at the Middle East right now. If war starts in the Middle East, it's already regional. Number 1, let's go back from this way. Hezbollah is facing the Zionists. Syria is there now to help. Syria is almost liberated. The little corner they got, it don't make no difference. So those are 2 people. Syria and Hezbollah against the Zionists. They're going to keep them busy. Both of them. They're going to keep them busy. And then when they're fighting for a super reason, hey. Saudi Arabia over there. I just mentioned the other night about eastern provinces. I mentioned Bahrain, where the 5th Fleet is. Do not forget about this 4 or 5 year war, this extraordinary bombing campaign, murder campaign in Yemen. Saudis is too weak to beat those guys. And they got every modern weapon. Can you imagine how weak Saudi Arabia is? Just like America told them. Don told them, without us, you wouldn't last 2 weeks. Isn't that pitiful? They can't tell Iran that. Okay. Afghanistan. 30% of the people of Afghanistan are Shias. 30%. 30% of Pakistan is Shias. That don't mean Pakistan will join a war. But you can imagine what will happen in Afghanistan with American troops right there looking at it. So America don't have no, we just gonna fly over there and kick their behind. No, you ain't, homeboy. Number 1, what they want to stop Iran. They said not only getting an atomic bomb, but their missile technology and growing Iranian influence in the region. The influence has already grown. And guess what? Every time we got up to say something, yeah, white man said that Saudi Arabia go around breaking everything up, and Iran goes around picking up the pieces. That's what a white analysis said on the radio about Saudi Arabia and Iran. In other words, Saudi Arabia is making colossal mistakes. That's all they make. The Zionists, why they have to move so fast? Why they move the Israeli consulate, the embassy to Jerusalem? Just like that. They just move it. That's their job. You see who's behind all this? The Zionists. What is our flag? The triangle of terror. When we come out with that, that was the first time. The triangle of terror used to be South Africa, Israel, and the same one. USA, yeah. That used to be the triangle of terror, but we took South Africa out. You got to look at what happened. They moved the embassy, they're annexing everything, and they're not giving the Palestinians a chance for nothing. They're having a conference soon, and all Uncle Tom Arabs is going, but the Palestinians and nobody else is going. This guy moved in a hurry because that was his job. Whoever hired him, which would be the Zionists, that's who hired him. As far as his elections go, anybody that think those American elections are solid is just about crazy. It's just like going to Las Vegas and think you're going to win the money. Anybody win, they done already set them up to it, right? They got the calculator, they got the machine. This guy goes, it's not a machine. They probably got the things already numbered and tagged and counted. And they've taken that money out of there. That's the way the elections are. Do you remember the last two elections when somebody that wouldn't follow that? Boom, 2000, Gore. They said Florida has gone to Gore. They said stop, stop, stop. Remember that? Good God almighty. And when it's all over, Gore doesn't challenge. Why? Because the system told him this is what we're going to do. With Hillary Clinton, she was sad, but the people told her, you just make your millions. This wasn't your turn. You just couldn't, we need this dummy in here. He's the one, he's a big enough fool. You couldn't do that because you got too much sense. Right? Hillary Clinton could not act like Donald Trump. But America, Iran went too far already. Their nuclear technology, they don't need it. They gave a fatwa. You know, the rabbi gave that fatwa 10 years ago, 9 or 10 years ago. So they didn't even want a nuclear bomb. They just negotiated on something they didn't want anyway. So they got what they wanted and did it. But what they don't have missile technology. And we want to stop Iran from helping everybody in the region. Well, the U.S. help everybody, all their friends. What are you talking about? You can do it and we can't. Why are we saying all this now? We're saying this now because of the type of psychological guerrilla warfare we use. Not we use. Negrocious The Great used. He used clownery, he used coolism. And he always made them mad because they're arrogant. You think nobody's paying attention to us? If 10 years ago, the Japanese press was here, Russian press was here. Who else was there? The German press, Deutsche Welle. All the press was here. Right after I went up to New York, though, they started backing away. You know why? They said this nigga got too much sense. We can't get him. They thought we'll send him up there to New York. And you know what I went in? What's the name of saying? I guess you're going to say something radical and whatever. You know what they did to Samuel Ariane? Fox News got him a case. You know what they're thinking? We'll get that loudmouth nigga up there. And we'll get him to say something. We use the word provocative. I said, Jews? No, I like Jews. What are you talking about? I don't know if you remember that. What? What's wrong with Jews? I like Jews. Nothing he could do. That's part of it he don't show you. But when we was getting set up, the workers were there, the camera people. They know it's in there. I asked Hannity, I said, Hannity, I said, you wearing pantyhose or drawers? I don't know if I told you. Oh, what's wrong? You got pantyhose on or you got drawers on? Now, if you would have asked those guys, not only would they remember, but we was talking about, you were a drug dealer. I said, yeah, I sold cocaine, good cocaine. And that's what they do. The criminal people, they're in New York, right? White boys.
Right, yeah.
I didn't say, so y'all like blow. I didn't say that, but I knew. I had a, and because I laid it on, I said I sold only the highest quality cocaine. I'm the only black distributor that did that. That I know of. Everybody else cut it and diluted us. I didn't do that. I said, come straight from Colombia, straight to your nose. That's what I did. Straight. Okay. Now look at it. Ben, we're teasing Ben. We're teasing Don. Oh, Don. He's not a counterpuncher, he's a fool. He's a fool. What does that make them do? Make emotional decisions, or decisions out of fear. So the Israelis and the Saudis fear the Iranians. They fear the Iranians. They're not scared of them. They fear the Iranians. So it's an open secret, which everybody knows, that both of them want to get America to fight Iran for them. That's why I'm saying this tonight. By the time we get this taped and I put the three from the other night, and tonight, it's going to be a package. So we're going to tell the American people, they're not going to believe it. They'll see one of them. Because your problem has been you ignored Negrocious. You just ignored Negrocious. Your strategists from MIT, BDI, RBG, all them dumb places can't touch Negrocious. Negrocious, what I call it, Negrocious the Great. Negrocious the Great. Negrocious the Great, everything that Negrocious the Great has told me to tell you now, Negrocious the Great said that the last 3 nights, 2 nights in a row, exactly what I'm saying now. He mentioned that Iranians are getting tired, that Shias, you keep scratching, they got some blood right on there. It wasn't 1 day later, because that missile was shot yesterday morning. Well, not was stuff that came on the news from the Security Administration came on within a few hours. Everything that I say on this thing happens now within the next few hours. Nobody can say, oh, I don't remember that. Well, you got a bad memory. Everything that's going on now was done by us here to protect the sanctity of the revolution, to make sure that they keep their fight mode together, because this fight mode is bound to happen over the peace mode. They may have to have one more drastic war. The American people ain't saying nothing. The news is saying what they always say.
War.
War. And there's absolutely the only thing they got is what the Iranians said they did. We shot the missile, and they showed the missile. And you know, you see the missile going, then you see a big flame. I don't know if y'all saw that. It couldn't have been 20 miles away. The missile got there too fast. You watching the light of the missiles, because it's dark, it's 4 a.m. You see all the flash, like a regular rocket going, and you see it. Then, when it hits the drone or fireball, Iran said we're collecting the debris. It was over our airspace. So they're collecting debris now. It's being washed up on Iranian shores. The Americans said it was 22 miles out. Iranians said it was 10 miles off our shore. That's it. Use what that they got for a mile, you know. So you crossed the line. And Don has been surrounded by Larry, Moe, and those other guys. But Don said today, I don't think it might have been a mistake. Don technically knows in the back of his brain.
Taking it back. Yeah, exactly.
Let me explain again. The United States and the Israelis will get a super bloody nose. They cannot invade Iran because it's 80 million people there, and you would have to have a 2 million invasion force. Their missile technology, well, in drones, they're number 4 in the world, right? Did you read that in the thing? And drones, Iran is 4 or 5 in the world. That means their drones is up there. They captured U.S. drone, they big in drones. The U.S. drone that they shot down, somebody must have sent it over there, because see, this drone flies, this is $1.8 million. No, I think they said $180 million. It has the same wingspan as a 747. Yeah, it's not no little T-90 drone. It's as long as I don't know what. It's the biggest drone they got, but it's also the slowest. Somebody wanted Iran to shoot it in that structure, and they did. But Iran is ready to go now. And the people of the United States, they don't have the stomach for that type of war. If Don take them into this war, it's not Iraq. The technology, I read about asymmetric warfare. This is an old folder on Iran, but it's 2011. I'll just read one. I won't read all this. Iran's armed forces have tailored their war-fighting strategy to counter technologically superior adversaries, such as the United States. Tacitly acknowledging it has little chance of winning a conventional force-on-force conflict. That's in 2011. So technically it would be what they had in 2010. This is 9 years later. They're moving at breakneck speed. They have missiles that'll take them aircraft carriers out. They got everything that they can swarm. You know, swarm all of them. They got all those tactics. They got, I'm gonna just read.
And like you said, they, just with their experience in Syria, they've been able to kind of witness how the U.S. fights.
They do that, they did it in Syria, they did it in Afghanistan, they did it in Iraq, they did it, the Hezbollah did it with the Zionists. They observed, and the Houthis keeping them up on, and the Afghans is keeping them up on hour to hour. They have whole units that train on counter U.S. Fighting methods. Okay. Iran has opted for deterrence-based model attrition warfare that raises an opponent's risk and cost rather than reducing its own. The goal is to inflict a psychological defeat that inhibits an enemy's willingness to fight. Asymmetric warfare, that's basically what it's called. I want to breeze over a few things that I had read before. Of course, asymmetric warfare, where Iran would use geography and what have you. This is a Western analysis, 2009, right after the war in Lebanon. One of the main lessons learned from the war, July and August 2006, is that the modern concept of asymmetric warfare, which emerged in the late 1990s in the United States, is already in dire need of revision. Hezbollah's military performance during the war demonstrates that asymmetric warfare can no longer be identified exclusively with political actors who adopt non-traditional methods that differ significantly from the opponent's usual mode of operation. The armed resistance that fought alongside spontaneous, large, popular resistance to an organized and concentrated armed military action, leading to the final stage, which ushered in paralleled new school of warfare that functioned as a combination of a regular army and guerrilla fighters. In this synthesis, Hezbollah appears to have struck an artful balance. Now this is white folks analyzing what happened so they can fix it up. Now remember, white folks study that, but Iran and Hezbollah has already moved on from this stuff. But what do? Artful balance between the conventional and unconventional in its military strategy, tactics, weapons, and organization, signaling its shift from a resistance group to a resistance army. Let's talk about Hezbollah, 2006. Do you remember my lectures? I gave 3 lectures on all that. I called it Basha. Good news. Did anybody else mention that that was good news? That's good news. Within a week's time, I'm telling you, there's some clairvoyance going on. You can't sit down here and mention that the end is coming and they're getting ready to, in Iran, that the fountains are running red with blood, as you know, they're getting close to that again. They have arrived. They said, bump you. You know, when you say, man, you've been chasing me around too long and messing with me. That's it. You calculated what you can lose, what you can gain, whatever it is, you're tired of it, and now you take it no more. That's the way Iran is with the U.S. The U.S. and the Israelis is trying to remember, Israel going to be hit right away. They're going to be hit right away. They might get pushed into using nuclear weapons. You don't know. They got it. I draw attention to strategic difference between a resistance that fights a regular army occupying the land, launches operations against it from within the land, meaning guerrilla warfare of attrition, and a resistance that stands in the face of an aggression seeking to occupy the land and prevents it from doing so and inflicts defeat on it. Resistance liberates land, but resistance to prevent an aggression against a country, this is something new. The first retreat of the Israeli army was in 2000. They pulled from the Shaba farms in Lebanon. They just got out and left. Said, forget it. But they still held parts of it. They got their behind out of Lebanon, just about. The country, Israeli aggression. The definition of a resistance was consequently expanded to include the withstanding of an invasion, or in other words, resisting the threat of occupation. By constructing the concept of resistance in this fashion, Hezbollah had entrusted itself with the mission of defending Lebanese territory from attack, a role traditionally carried out by state military. So Hezbollah evolved. There's a few things that I want to mention. Never saw them build anything. Must have brought the cement in by the spoonful. They say these bunkers and everything that was built by Lebanese, by Hezbollah, the Zionists had full focus on everything they was doing. Here's what they say. They never saw them build anything. They must have brought the cement in by the spoonful. How do they pull it off? While such advanced planning and preparation are not unique to conventional armies, Hezbollah's elaborately prepared defense works shared more in common with a regular army's preparation for repelling an invasion than with a guerrilla group plans for staging a counterattack and absorbing the anticipated counterattack. The resistance intricately designed a network of underground bunkers. Remember, they said, we don't know where they came from, they ghosts. Do you know that language? They ghosts. Where do they come from? Israelis sitting on their tanks, technically crying big fat tears. Now, Israelis now are fatter than they was then. 12 years ago, something. Think of Americans just that few years ago. Think of what do they do? They watch TV. I just want to read. On On the tactical level, the low visibility Hezbollah shares with other irregular forces served it well in pursuing its strategic objectives. And so far as it did not have exposed targets like barracks and tanks, nor did it leave behind any logistical footprint that would be hit. Resistance forces used combined tactics whereby they would hold on some places but yield in others, counterattack in some locations but withdraw in others elsewhere. On one hand, the resistance dispersed its forces into small cells who engaged in mobile combat tactics and surprise attacks in line with other unconventional military actors. On the other hand, it adopted tactics that usually identified with conventional armies. I want to find this part that I've always, the conjoining of unconventional with conventional warfare was also mirrored in a wide range of weapons Hezbollah used, combining rudimentary weapons accessible to most guerrilla groups with advanced weapons systems, which even reviled those of some states. But it was not simply this juxtaposition of the outdated and the modern, which testified to Hezbollah's unique contribution to warfare, but more tellingly, its skill in turning the primitiveness of those weapons to its advantage. What we always say, the higher the tech they go, the lower tech you go. While using more advanced weapons created, here's what we're saying. And I'll just stop this to let you know, Iran, Hezbollah, they combine, remember I said they combine second generation warfare with fourth generation. Now they would just combine maybe third with fifth. But whatever they do, those, what they call ancient weapon system can be adapted to some of the modern technology. Pretty soon they'll be able to put a missile on the end of this thing right here. And it stays on, it just stays on it, and bam, it hits it. Right? The computer, this thing is a laptop. They're going to be out there in a few years with the laptop sitting there pointed at the thing coming in. And then the missile is going to automatically fire and keep in track what the thing is supposed to hit. Sure, why not? You know, Hezbollah they would break into Israeli stuff all the time they want. Israelis would break into theirs, but anytime it goes back and forth, fine, who cares? Here's what I'm saying about tonight. We did this, now I'm going to just go over it. So the Negro is the one that got the people in this. This is what we're saying, Negro. So the Negro can get them out of it. They people can. You know, this is where we've been heading all the time. I would talk to Brother Tufel about this all the time. Is this the last go-round, the second to the last go-round, or where are we at on the continuum? This might be the one that set up the big change, the big transition. We have to think like that. The world cannot stand but a few more years of this crackdown. So we got to have big events. Okay, it may take one more big war, but that big war would have to bloody the Zionists and the Americans so bad. You got to remember, all their friends is within their sphere. All of the white man's friends. Iran for 10 years have had missiles that can hit Tel Aviv. They've been having. First to 1,200 kilometers, then 2,000 kilometers, and they can hit them with accuracy. Conventional weapons. But what do they think Iranians are doing now? There's probably 10,000 people underground putting together as many missiles as they can. Of course they are. So they have backup. The reason they wanted to get rid of Iran's missiles was we need a new treaty to talk about the missiles. That wasn't part of it, right? Don is saying, we want that. Why he want that? The missiles will be 10 years before they can hit America. They'll hit the Israelis. Who's the one that called all this into play? The Zionists. We have to show it. We're showing right now, the American people. I'm going to tell you how we did this and make it simple. We cooned and we clowned the Americans, the Israelis, and the Saudis. All three of them are arrogant. They're all arrogant. Those are the easiest people to clown. You just do this, and they get all mad. They start losing composure. Pretty soon, they make irrational. Look at all of them now. Look at her. They said the U.S. policy is irrational. Well, what is the U.S. policy? They said the Zionists took the Golan Heights and did this, that, and other, and the U.S. embassies in Jerusalem. And they're going to have a meeting, the deal of the century, and ain't nobody going but a few dumb Arabs, right? They are, what's our favorite word? Discombobulated. Now, do we know that that's something that's going on? Of course we know what it's doing. I'll say again, why do you think we never responded to them $2 Negroes and no food? Because this is the main fight. You think anybody cares? Yep, we'll go back and do what we got to do when we get ready. This is the main fight. We've been engineering this. We've been talking about it, looking at it, and studying it, and everything they do. Now, they put us on this in the front of this newspaper a while ago, and that's a good article. But they put it there for a different reason. They put that there, the Iranians put it there to show the other Iranians where Abdul Ali Musa is coming from. Well, that's 2016, maybe. They're getting ready to deal, whatever that was still brand new. It's a good article. Unity, vision, all of that. But they put it there to show all the brothers. Because that was in a political newspaper. It was not in the Standard, it was in the political newspaper. The other guy on the front page was one of the large Johnny brothers, wanted to wear the imam. So problem. So, who put it there? Remember the guys when I came home, was that 71 or 72? Might have been 71. They had a birthday cake with 71. You saw that? Okay. Now the guy, the Iranian guy, that does that, his father just passed away. But his father was offered the same job Zarif got, or that got him that job. Remember we said we're taking over the management of our republic. That's what we said. That's what we meant. But nobody believed it. They just went on like about their business. They didn't know we was dead serious. So we had to light a fire. How do we keep BB mad and the U.S. mad and everybody mad, Saudis mad? By making fun of them. Triangle of terror. Remember that? 2000. And it's pretty well outlined. To keep them mad, you have to ask yourself, are they upset when they think about Imam Musa or the Negrocious, whatever we call him? Negrocious the Great. Negrocious the Great. That's a friend of mine. Well, I like Negrocious the Great. Because Negrocious the Great is great, but in human terms, Negrocious the Great is greater than any 5 or 10 of their professors and scholars put together. It's proof. It just, right, tell the truth. We have to, is that true or is it not true? I mean, we just got to come to that. So nobody said, no, it's not true. I'm assuming that means yes. That, look, now, we get them in, we can get them out. The same thing, you can ask the heavyset brother over at IEC, the Iranian. Where's the glasses? He's heavyset. His name might be Hassan or something like that. Anyway, I told him last year, tell the brothers, I said, have I ever told y'all anything or miscalculated or misanalyzed anything? He said, absolutely. I said, well, I want to go over there because this stuff was happening right now. My goal was to go there and show them the benefits because Zarif and all of them and Rouhani and them see only their part. We did this, now nobody likes us. Or we didn't give this. No. They don't know it. But their negotiating was great. Just we told them this. I don't know if y'all remember. As soon as you sign whatever you sign, double cross them. Double cross them. Why? Why double cross them? Because they got to double cross you. They can't help themselves. You don't always know whether this was the double cross from the setup, from the get-go. The Democrats would get them to go and sign all that stuff, and then here come the Republicans. You don't know whether that was a plan or not. What we do know is Obama was in a hurry to get a treaty, and his focus and Kerry's focus was on nuclear weapons. So was everybody else. The Israelis was the only one. That's why the Israelis and the Saudis hated that treaty from day one. We're telling the American people, you go over there and lift a finger, you're fighting for Israelis and Saudis. Because your government is too stupid. Darn that big fool. Well, he's kind of a fool, but he got enough sense to know. Somebody told him, man, you bluffing. And they called your bluff. That's all. You can't bluff it. They're not Mexicans or Canadians, right? And they're not Chinese. Chinese, when they fought for their liberation, they was deep in that concept of martyrdom. A little bit. They was pretty much into it. They had to lose so many people. You gotta. They're not into that now. So the people did not cooperate with Iran. You know, something other 5 plus 1. Where the hell is the other 5? One went on about his business. The Titan schools, look at this in diplomacy. They leave it's not a treaty, but an accord. And they should have learned from the accords. You remember the League of Nations from World War I? Wilson had it. One of the weaknesses in that League of Nations that the United States supported it, but the Senate never ratified it. So when Japan was out of line, when the Germans was out of line, when everybody was out of line, couldn't nobody do nothing because it was all too weak. And the United States was isolationist, and the United States Senate did not ratify the League of Nations thing. It's pitiful. But now let's get back to where we are. I'm going to try to move toward a close and stay a little more organized. So, we're the ones that arranged this. Whether you believe it or not, it's up to you. By the way, today is the 19th. Yesterday was the 19th. This is the 20th. Does anybody remember what day that is? June the 19th, 2009. The Rahbar came out in Iran and gave that khutbah in Juma. The people came out wearing their martyrdom stuff, and they were